Hey folks, how you doing? Ken here. Just a quick update. I'll go outside. I've all the pumps and spin drifter and everything running there, which is quite noisy. It's a beautiful day here in Dublin. We had, I think, like most places, fairly unseasonably cold weather for most of May, and it was only sort of mid last week or this week that it sort of went from hat and gloves weather walking the dogs to really nice. And today it's looking at the watch, it's, well, it says 17, but it's definitely closer to 20 in the sun. As you can probably guess, with the pond, I'm doing a PP. This is the second PP, well, the second one in about 2 weeks. So I think I mentioned on the last video I was getting not a huge amount of flashing, but enough to be concerned. I've seen it worse, but I'd stand here for 5 minutes and I'd see 2 or 3 fish flashing. You know, I have had situations where you stand for 5 minutes and there's literally a queue of fish at the bottom drain. It wasn't that bad. Now, I did 4 series of scrapes, and until last night found nothing. What I was half expecting to find was gill fluke again, because I had that problem last year and probably the year before. I never fully eradicated it. But it shows symptoms and flashing, but takes a while to find it. But what I found last night, and only on one slide, but one slide is enough for this one, is Chiladanella. So I noticed, you know, if a couple of fish in the pond, you might notice this yourself, when there's something wrong. You know, my big show, it gets very veiny and pink. And he was flashing a bit, so I pulled him out. And the advantage with him as well is he's very tame, so he's easy enough to scrape. So I got 3 good scrapes off and got under his belly and around the pectorals and around the gills, and sat for about an hour going through all those and found the chilo. I might drop the video in on the end of this. It was hard to keep in the frame because it was moving a lot. When you look for movement, I was definitely getting movement resisting. So, as I say, I did a precautionary kind of PP there 2 weeks ago. I hadn't found anything. I had suspicions it might be Costia. I had these little shimmering, not quite moving as much things, but I didn't, just in case I gave a treatment, but it made no difference. So I'm going again. So I'm going with the sort of now recommended 2 grams of PP a ton, or 1,000 litres of water. So I've got that in there, and I'll just keep an eye on it. Put it in about, say, 20 minutes ago. The fish, they're settled now. They don't like it when it goes in first, but hopefully that'll do it. I do have FMG now. A friend of mine has it close by. I will get that and won't do PP again. If PP doesn't work this time, I'll go with the FMG. The reason I prefer PP is, and I know we all have our preferences, at least with PP it's kind of done in 4 or 5 hours, and do a water change and the pond is kindly back to normal. With FMG, you're 2 weeks, you know, and the pond looks fairly shitty this time of year. But you know, if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. So we'll wait and see. What I also did last weekend was I cleared out the back of the pond, which was a horrible job. It gets blanket weed for some reason a lot, even during the winter. I do treat it every few weeks with a scoop of blanket answer. When I opened up and took the lid off, now they've died back a bit, and I'll explain why in a second. There was about 7 flowered buds, which was impressive. So what I did was, I didn't bother replanting the lilies this year, because they're kind of in the biggest pots I can get. They were small and outgrown smaller pots, and I'd replant them. What I did was fertilizer tablets. You get them in any kind of aquarium shop. You just push them down into the roots. They don't have to be lily specific. Some of the koi dealers that do aquarium stuff may even have them as well, and I found them a dealer close by said to me before that's what he says to everybody, you know, you'll put in your lilies and for the first season they'll be great, and then after that they're a bit meh and don't do a lot. He said that you have to fertilise them every year. So that's what I've been doing, and had a lot of success if you look at my videos last year. So what I did was I cleaned it out, vacuumed it, took the lilies out, took all the dead leaves, although there's a few more there and whatever else. I then PP'd it because this is sitting here, I don't use it for the winter, and I do sort of flush the pipes out to it every few weeks just to not have stagnant water sitting in the pipes back here. So I do have a pump from my drum that goes in here. There's a waterfall you can see, and down into the main ponds when weather permits, which is usually summer months. So because everything is stagnant and sitting there, I'd say I'd be nailed on for at least trichodynia if I didn't PP it. So I gave it a good strong PP. It's knocked the lilies back a little bit and the flowers. I'd say upsetting them alone, probably taking them out and whatever didn't help. So they should come back. I'll do a water change on that again, and maybe before I start using it, I might do another sort of lighter PP when it's full up. Although to be honest, I think it's all dried out. I've looked at that hard. You can see there the way the wall is white. Sort of is because I did have I think I've mentioned before, when I got this pond glassed, it was a day like today. There was 2 days like today, and I put a frame and a tarpaulin over it because I'd read that's what you need to do for fiberglassing, which by the way, it is what you need to do for fiberglassing. But the guys who did my fiberglass, the first thing they did, because it was a very warm day, they tore the tarpaulin off, and they came and fiberglassed day 1, and then they came and flow coated it day 2. And I noticed within a few weeks I had shadow marks of the frame that was there on the flow coat, and I wasn't happy. It shouldn't be there. So they came back and they re-flow coated it. So I was looking at that, but it is hardish water where I live, and I think that's all. When I fill it up, it goes black again. I was sort of looking at it and saying, oh, there's a bit of peeling, but the peeling, I think, is not flow coat. It's actually the calcification on it. It does go black when you fill it up, or you can see there where I had the power washer on it, the calcification does come off. It's just a hard water thing, unfortunately. But there are places, like if you can see here, where the flow coat has come away and it's bare fiberglass, which is not good. A well fiberglass pond should be a job for 30 years. You shouldn't have to touch it. I'm hoping I don't. I mean, the thoughts of taking big koi out and putting them into a swimming pool doesn't appeal to me, but what you have to do, you have to do. But anyway, so if you are getting a pond fiberglassed, either don't do it in sunny weather or have a cover for it, and if somebody takes the cover off, put it back on. What I did think of the day it was doing flow coated, to put the cover back on, and then I was saying, oh, the flow coat's sticky, and then if I drag the cover back on, I'll be dragging dust and dirt, and I decided against it. But anyway, now in fairness, when the guy saw it, he just said, yeah, no, that shouldn't have happened, and they came back and sanded it down and re-flow coated the bits. But whether that takes, that's my worry. It's not the original flow coat really, it's the re-flow coating. Because there is a way of reflow coating something, and you really have to sand it back when you're putting new flow coat on. That's what I've heard. So that's it. They're the sort of 2 things. It's the Chilodenella, which hopefully that PP gets rid of it. If it doesn't, I'll go FMG, and the back of the pond, which if the weather keeps up in the next week or so, or 2 weeks, I'll turn the waterfall on. But that is it. If you have any comments, let me know. Other than that, I will talk to you again. Cheers.